Hello there, my sleepy fellows. Tonight's story is a quiet one. It is not about footsteps echoing through crowded corridors, nor about voices raised in urgency or alarm. Instead, it is about what happens when Hogwarts is almost entirely unseen, when the castle believes itself alone, and its oldest magic feels free to move without being watched. High on a moonlit cliff, Hogwarts stands wrapped in stillness. The towers rise calmly into the night sky, their windows glowing faintly like watchful stars. The wind drifts gently across the battlements, carrying with it the soft scent of stone warmed by centuries of magic. Somewhere far below, the black lake lies smooth and dark, reflecting the sky in slow, quiet ripples. Inside the castle, the hour is late. Staircases have settled into familiar shapes. Portraits rest in their frames, eyes closed, conversations paused until morning. Torches burn low along the walls, their flames steady and unhurried, casting golden light that softens every shadow it touches. Deep within Hogwarts, far from classrooms and common rooms, there is a place few students ever think about. A place not marked on any map, not mentioned in lessons, and rarely spoken of even by the castle itself. Behind thick stone walls and ancient enchantments lies a vault. Not a vault of gold or dangerous artifacts, but something quieter, something patient. The vault does not respond to spells. It does not open for passwords. It does not move when asked. It opens only when it is unseen. Tonight, the castle is quiet enough to forget itself. And in that forgetting, something very old begins to stir. As you listen, allow your thoughts to slow. Let the outside world grow distant, like footsteps fading down a long corridor. You don't need to search for anything here. You don't need to understand every detail. This story will unfold gently, at its own pace, just as the magic within Hogwarts always prefers. If you enjoy wandering softly through hidden corners of the wizarding world, through places that reveal themselves only in silence, you might choose to return again another night, perhaps to explore another secret that waits patiently when no one is watching. But for now, all that matters is this moment. The lanterns glow softly, the castle breathes slowly, and somewhere behind ancient stone, a vault begins to listen for silence. Take a slow breath, settle into the quiet. At this quiet hour, Hogwarts holds only a few souls awake, each moving gently through the castle as though mindful not to disturb its rest. Among them is Harry Potter, walking slowly along a stone corridor near the upper floors, his footsteps light and unhurried. He isn't meant to be anywhere in particular tonight. Some evenings simply invite wandering, and Harry has learned to listen when Hogwarts offers that kind of invitation. There is an ease to him now that wasn't always there. The sharp alertness he once carried has softened into something steadier. He pauses often, by windows, by torchlit alcoves, letting his thoughts drift like the clouds outside. Tonight, he feels less like someone searching for answers and more like someone willing to notice what appears. Not far behind him walks Hermione Granger, a book tucked under her arm more out of habit than intention. She isn't reading it. Instead, she traces the edge of its cover absently as she walks, her eyes moving thoughtfully over the stonework and shadows. Hermione has always loved Hogwarts for its knowledge, but lately she has begun to love it for something quieter, the way it allows learning to happen without effort when one is willing to slow down. "You're wandering again," she says softly, catching up to Harry. He smiles without turning. "I think the castle doesn't mind." Hermione returns the smile. "I think it prefers it." Their voices are low, not out of secrecy, but respect. For the hour, for the stillness, for the sense that the castle is listening in its own way. A little farther along, leaning comfortably against the wall near a window, is Ron Weasley. He looks relaxed, arms folded loosely, gazing out at the dark grounds below. He glances back as they approach. "Took you long enough," he murmurs, though there's no impatience in his tone. "I found a spot where the drafts don't whistle." Ron has always understood comfort instinctively, while others analyze or wonder. He simply settles where things feel right. Tonight, Hogwarts seems to agree with him. The window beside him is closed tight, the torch nearby burning evenly, offering warmth without flicker. The three stand together in companionable silence for a moment. No one feels the need to speak. Their presence feels balanced, familiar, like pieces that fit naturally into the quiet. Somewhere below them, unseen and unheard, the castle shifts slightly. Not a stair moving, not a door opening, but something deeper. An ancient awareness stirring, as if noticing that these three are awake not to take, but to simply be. Harry feels it as a faint pressure behind his thoughts, not a warning, not a call, just a sense of attention. Hermione feels it too, pausing mid-breath. Ron tilts his head. "Anyone else feel like Hogwarts just noticed us?" Harry nods slowly. "Yeah, like it's checking if we're listening." They are not chosen because they are heroes. They are not here because of fate or urgency. They are here because they are quiet enough. And somewhere deep within the castle, where no eyes have looked in a very long time, the vault waits, patiently, for footsteps that do not seek it at all. The castle grows quieter as the night deepens, as though Hogwarts itself has decided to listen rather than speak. The torches along the corridor, where Harry, Hermione, and Ron stand, burn with steady flames, casting long shadows that stretch and soften across the stone floor. No footsteps echo nearby, no portraits stir. Even the distant creak of shifting staircases has fallen silent. It is in this stillness that the first change occurs. Not a sound, not a movement. A pause. Harry feels it first, not in his ears or his eyes, but somewhere deeper, where thoughts slow before turning into words. It is the same sensation as standing at the edge of a quiet lake just before dawn, when the world seems to be holding its breath. Hermione inhales gently, then stops halfway through the breath. "Do you feel that?" she whispers. Ron nods, his usual ease settling into something more attentive. Like the castle just blinked. They wait. Nothing happens. And yet, the pause remains. Then, very softly, a sound begins, not loud enough to echo, not sharp enough to startle. It is a low, distant hum, woven so deeply into the castle's stone that it feels less like sound and more like presence. It moves slowly, drifting through the corridor like a current beneath still water. Harry turns his head, following it without knowing how. The hum does not come from ahead of them, nor behind. It comes from below. There aren't any classrooms under here, Ron murmurs. Hermione closes her eyes briefly, listening more carefully. It's not a room, she says. It feels sealed. The hum grows slightly stronger, not louder, just clearer. With it comes a subtle shift in the air. The corridor feels warmer, not physically, but older, as though the stone around them remembers a time long before students walked these halls. Harry steps forward instinctively. He doesn't hurry. The movement feels natural, unforced. Hermione and Ron follow without question, their footsteps soft, perfectly in rhythm with the quiet. They reach a section of wall Harry has passed countless times before. It looks exactly as it always has. Solid stone, faintly marked by age, torch brackets set evenly along its length. There is no door, no carving, no symbol to suggest anything lies beyond it. And yet, the hum gathers here. Hermione approaches slowly, lifting her hand, not to touch, but to feel the space just in front of the stone. Her fingers hover inches away. There's magic here, she says quietly, but it's asleep. Ron raises an eyebrow. Everything in this castle's magical. Hermione shakes her head slightly. This is different. It's not watching us. It's not reacting. Harry steps closer. As he does, the hum shifts again, softening, lowering, as though acknowledging his presence without waking fully. He leans his forehead lightly against the cool stone. Nothing happens. And that is when the magic responds. Not with light, not with motion, but with absence. For just a moment, so brief it almost goes unnoticed, the hum disappears entirely. The air stills, the torches flicker once, then steady. Ron opens his mouth to speak, and stops. Because the wall is no longer quite there. It hasn't vanished. It hasn't opened. Instead, it seems to have forgotten itself. The stone blurs subtly, like an image reflected on water. The surface loses its sharpness, its certainty. Hermione's breath catches, not in fear, but awe. It's waiting to be unseen, she whispers. Harry understands without knowing how. He steps back. The moment he looks away, not glancing, not watching, but truly not seeing, the hum returns, warmer now, deeper. The blurred stone shifts again, growing more indistinct. Ron squints at the wall. I'm looking straight at it, and I can't tell where it starts anymore. Don't try to see it, Hermione says gently. Let it be. They stand together, deliberately turning their attention elsewhere, not walking away, not focusing harder, but allowing their awareness to soften. Harry lets his gaze drift to the torchlight. Hermione focuses on the rhythm of her breathing. Ron listens to the faint whistle of wind far outside the castle walls. Behind them, Something moves. There is no grinding of stone, no click of locks, no dramatic reveal. The vault opens in silence, not outward, but inward. The space where the wall had been deepens, stretching gently, like a doorway formed from shadow and memory rather than stone. The air beyond it feels calm, ancient, untouched. Harry turns slowly. Where the corridor wall once stood, there is now a narrow opening, arched and smooth, its edges barely defined. Within it, darkness rests, not threatening, not an empty, but full in the way a quiet room feels full at night. Hermione exhales, her voice barely audible. It opened when we stopped looking for it. Ron lets out a slow breath. Blimey. They do not step inside. There is no pull, no invitation made of urgency. The opening simply exists, content to remain unnoticed unless approached with the same gentleness that allowed it to appear. Harry feels something shift within him, not excitement, not fear, but recognition. This vault is not hiding something from them. It is hiding from being seen. I think, Harry says slowly, it's been opening like this for a very long time. Hermione nods, but only when no one is watching, only when the castle feels safe enough to forget itself. They stand in silence, letting the truth of that settle. The opening does not change. It does not widen or fade. It waits, not expectantly, but patiently. Ron scratches the back of his neck. So what do we do? Harry smiles faintly. Nothing yet. They remain where they are, not entering, not retreating. The vault does not close. It does not demand acknowledgement. It simply is. A quiet place revealed by absence rather than attention. After a while, the hum softens, again, blending into the stone, into the castle, into the night. The opening remains, but its edges blur, becoming less distinct. Hermione glances at Harry. If we stare too hard, it'll disappear. He nods. Then we shouldn't. They turn away together, not abandoning the vault, but respecting it. As their attention drifts back to the corridor, the opening fades naturally, the stone remembering itself once more. When they look again, the wall is whole, solid, ordinary. The hum is gone, and yet something has changed. They walk on in silence, footsteps soft, hearts steady. None of them feel the need to speak. The knowledge they carry is not one that requires words. Deep within Hogwarts, the vault settles back into stillness, content, untroubled. It has opened, it has been unseen, and it knows now that there are those who understand the difference. After the wall returns to its familiar stillness, Hogwarts seems to settle even deeper into itself. The corridor grows quieter than before, if that is possible. It is not an empty quiet, but a complete one, like the pause after a long sigh, when everything has finally fallen into place. Harry, Hermione, and Ron remain where they are for a moment longer, not speaking. None of them feel the urge to rush away, nor to turn back and check the wall again. The magic they witnessed does not invite confirmation. It asks for trust. They begin to walk, their steps slow and unhurried, moving deeper into the castle's upper passages. The torches glow softly as they pass, each flame steady and warm. The night air feels calm against their skin, carrying the faint scent of old stone and wax. It is Hermione who notices the second change first. She pauses mid-step, her hand lifting slightly, as though sensing a shift in the air. "Wait," she whispers, not with urgency, but curiosity. Ron stops at once. Harry turns back toward her. "What is it?" Harry asks quietly. Hermione closes her eyes, listening. "It's not the vault," she says after a moment. "It's an echo." The word settles gently between them. Before Harry can ask what she means, the castle responds. From somewhere far below, so distant it might belong to another part of the castle entirely, comes a soft sound. Not a hum this time, and not quite a voice. It is the faintest suggestion of movement, like fabric brushing stone or air passing through a narrow opening. Ron tilts his head. That sounded like a door. Hermione opens her eyes slowly. "Yes," she says, "but not one opening." Harry understands before she finishes. One remembering. The sound fades almost as soon as it appears, leaving behind a subtle sense of direction. Not a pull, not a command, just a quiet awareness of elsewhere. They follow it instinctively. Their path takes them down a narrow staircase, rarely used at Besome. This hour, the steps spiral gently, the stone worn smooth by centuries of passage. As they descend, the temperature shifts slightly, becoming cooler, calmer. The air feels untouched, as though few have walked this way with open attention. They do not speak, words would feel too heavy here. At the base of the staircase, they emerge into a long, arched hallway lined with tall windows. Moonlight pours through the glass, illuminating the floor in pale silver shapes that stretch and overlap. Outside, the grounds lie still, the lake dark and smooth, the trees unmoving. Halfway down the corridor, the sound returns. This time, it is clearer. A slow, rhythmic breath. Harry stops, his heart steady but alert. "Do you hear that?" Ron nods. "Yeah, it's not scary, just strange." Hermione steps closer to the windows, then shakes her head. It's not coming from outside. The breath seems to rise from the stone beneath their feet, from the walls themselves. It is deep, measured, patient. With each breath, the corridor feels subtly altered, not changed, but revealed. As they stand there, something unusual happens. The shadows along the walls begin to move, not shifting or crawling, but lengthening. They stretch downward, pooling near the base of the walls, gathering in places where the light does not quite reach. Harry watches, calm and attentive. He does not feel watched, he feels accompanied. The shadows deepen until they form a single, narrow line along the far wall. It looks at first like nothing more than a trick of moonlight. Then it grows darker, clearer, its edges sharpening into a shape that suggests a seam. Hermione's breath is slow and steady. "That's not a door," she murmurs. "No," Harry agrees. "It's a memory of one." The line does not open. Instead, the stone around it grows faintly translucent, like mist pressed against glass. Through it, they glimpse impressions rather than images, layers of time folded gently together. They see students walking past without noticing anything unusual. Professors pausing briefly, then moving on. House elves passing, silently, heads bowed, footsteps light. And beneath all of it, deeper still, they sense the vault. Not the vault itself, but its effect. The realization arrives softly, like a truth remembered rather than learned. The vault does not open only in one place. It opens wherever it is unseen. Hermione's voice is barely a whisper. It's not bound to stone, it's bound to attention. Ron frowns thoughtfully, so every time no one's really looking, it could be opening somewhere? Harry nods. Not opening into the castle, opening into itself. The breath deepens once more, slow and even. With it comes a feeling, not excitement, not urgency, but understanding. The vault is not a room that holds something. It is a space that allows something to rest. The seam in the wall does not widen. Instead, it softens, then fades, the shadows returning to their usual shapes. The moonlight remains unchanged. The corridor is ordinary again. Ron exhales quietly. So that's it, then? Hermione smiles gently. That's enough. They turn away, continuing down the hallway. As they walk, Harry becomes aware of a subtle shift within himself. The sense of being observed has vanished. In its place is something calmer, a feeling of having been trusted. They reach the end of the corridor, where a small stone bench rests beneath one of the windows. Without discussion, they sit. For a long while, they simply watch the moonlight drift across the floor. Finally, Ron speaks, his voice soft. Funny thing is, I don't feel like we missed anything by not going in. Harry smiles. I think that's the point. Hermione nods, her gaze distant, but peaceful. Some places don't want visitors. They want witnesses who know when to look away. The breath does not return. The echoes fade completely. And somewhere deep within Hogwarts, beyond walls, beyond rooms, beyond the need to be seen, the vault settles once more into perfect stillness, content in the knowledge that it has been understood without being entered. The night continues, gentle and unbroken, and the castle rests, knowing its quiet secrets are safe. After the corridor returns to its ordinary stillness, Hogwarts continues to breathe at its unhurried pace. Nothing announces what has happened. No bells ring differently. No portraits stir to gossip. The castle does not mark moments like these with noise. It simply allows them to settle, like dust in a sunlit room. Harry, Hermione, and Ron rise from the stone bench beneath the window and continue on their way, their footsteps light against the floor. They do not speak at first. Words would feel too sharp, too definite for something that is still unfolding in silence. As they walk, Harry becomes aware of a subtle change, not in the castle, but in how he moves through it. He finds himself slowing without effort, pausing at turns, letting staircases finish shifting before stepping onto them. The castle seems to respond in kind, guiding rather than redirecting, opening paths without making a show of it. Hermione notices patterns beginning to emerge, though she keeps them to herself. It is not patterns of place, but of timing. Doors open when no one reaches for them. Corridors remain empty just long enough for the quiet to feel intentional. The castle is not rearranging itself. It is simply allowing moments to exist without interruption. Ron feels it too, though he would never phrase it that way. He stretches his arms as they walk, breathing deeply. Feels like everything's gone a bit. Slower, he murmurs. Not in a bad way. Hermione smiles. Like the castle's stopped trying to impress anyone. They turn a corner and enter a long gallery lined with tall suits of armor. Normally, the faint clink of metal follows students through this space as helmets turn or gauntlets adjust. Tonight, the armor remains perfectly still. Moonlight gleams softly on polished surfaces, creating gentle reflections that ripple as the trio passes. Halfway through the gallery, Harry senses something familiar. Not a sound, not a movement. An absence, the same kind of absence that allowed the vault to open before. He does not stop walking. Instead, he softens his attention, letting his gaze drift slightly, unfocused. Hermione notices at once and mirrors him, her eyes lowering as she listens inwardly rather than outwardly. Ron, sensing the shift, quiets his movements without being asked. The gallery feels deeper now, as though the air itself has grown thicker with memory. At the far end of the room, a shadow pools beneath a tapestry, one depicting a peaceful medieval scene, figures gathered beneath a tree, frozen in gentle conversation. The shadow does not move, yet it feels present, as if it belongs there more than the light does. Hermione passes by without looking directly at it. She feels the same hum she felt before, faint and warm, like something content to remain unnoticed. Behind them, the shadow thins, dispersing back into ordinary darkness. Ron glances over his shoulder. Did we just pass something? Harry nods slightly. Yes. Ron waits, then shrugs. Good. Didn't feel like stopping. They continue. As the night stretches on, these moments repeat themselves, not dramatically, not often enough to demand attention, but gently, persistently. A quiet stairwell where echoes fail to return. A closed classroom door that seems deeper than it should be. A stretch of wall that feels warmer than the stone around it. None of these places open, none of them reveal themselves fully. They simply wait. Hermione begins to understand the rhythm of it. The vault's influence is not spreading outward like a ripple. It is being noticed wherever attention loosens, wherever eyes turn away instead of searching. It's not trying to be found, she whispers at one point. It's responding to stillness. Harry nods, and to trust. They reach the library without quite intending to. The doors stand closed, the interior dark except for a single lamp left burning on Madame Pince's desk. The vast space beyond feels calm and deep, shelves rising into shadow like quiet sentinels. For a moment, Hermione considers stepping inside. Then she stops. The library feels complete without them. That's not for us tonight, she says softly. Ron grins. Never thought I'd hear you say that. They turn away, and as they do, the lamp inside dims slightly, as though relieved. The suspense builds not in what they see, but in what they choose not to. Each time they resist the urge to look closer, to press forward, The castle seems to relax further. The night grows smoother, the silence richer. Harry realizes then that the vault is not guiding them to a destination. It is guiding them into a way of moving, a way of being unseen. As they near a junction of corridors, the air shifts once more. This time, it feels closer, intimate, almost familiar. The walls narrow slightly, not physically, but perceptually. Drawing their awareness inward, they stop without speaking. The hum returns, faint and low, like breath passing through stone. It gathers gently around them, not from one direction, but from all sides. Hermione closes her eyes. Ron lowers his head slightly. Harry lets his shoulders relax. For a heartbeat, the world feels perfectly balanced, and then, very quietly, the floor beneath them seems to listen, not opening, not changing, listening. Harry feels the truth settle into him with calm certainty. The vault is not a single place, nor even a series of places. It is a condition the castle enters when it feels unobserved. It opens into silence itself. The hum fades again. The corridor remains unchanged. Ron looks up first. That was nice. Hermione smiles softly. Yes, it was. They walk on, unhurried, their presence light. The castle resumes its gentle night rhythm, staircases shifting lazily, torches glowing without flicker. By the time they reach the steps leading back toward Gryffindor Tower, the sense of suspense has softened into something closer to reassurance. The questions they carried have loosened their grip. There is no mystery pressing forward now, only the quiet understanding that Hogwarts holds places meant to remain unseen, and that those places are not lonely. They pause once more at a window overlooking the grounds. The moon hangs low, its reflection stretching across the lake in a pale, unbroken line. Ron yawns. Think it's time for sleep? Hermione nods. I think the castle would approve. Harry looks out at the grounds, feeling the last traces of the hum settle into stillness. Somewhere deep within the stone, the vault rests, open and closed at once, content to remain unnoticed. They turn away together, climbing the stairs without haste. The suspense does not end with a revelation. It eases into calm, and the night continues, gentle and whole, holding its quiet secrets exactly where they belong. By the time the stairs curve gently toward Gryffindor Tower, the night feels softer, as though it has decided to cradle rather than conceal. Harry, Hermione, and Ron slow naturally, not because they are tired, but because movement itself feels optional now, something to be chosen rather than assumed. At the foot of the staircase, they pause. The corridor behind them remains unchanged, no seam in the wall, no hum in the stone, nothing to mark what they have passed through except the calm they carry with them. Hermione is the first to speak. We could go back, she says quietly, not as a suggestion, but an acknowledgement of possibility. Ron glances toward the darkened hall. We could, he agrees, but I don't think it wants that. Harry nods. He feels it clearly now. The vault, in whatever quiet state allows it to open, does not reward persistence. It responds to restraint, to the choice not to push further. I think, Harry says slowly, that choosing to stop is part of it. They stand together, letting that settle. The castle does not react. It does not hum or shift or signal approval, and that, somehow, feels like confirmation. They choose to continue upward. The staircase carries them gently, its steps cool and familiar beneath their feet. As they climb, Harry notices how differently he is listening, not searching for echoes or signs, but allowing the castle's ordinary sounds to return: the distant creak of wood, the faint rush of air through hidden passages, the quiet pulse of magic woven so deeply into the stone that it feels like breath. Hermione walks beside him, her book still tucked under her arm. She hasn't opened it once tonight. Instead, her fingers trace the spine absent-mindedly, as though grounding herself in something solid and known. I keep thinking about how many times I've tried to understand Hogwarts, she says softly, mapped it, cataloged it, explained it. Ron smiles faintly. And now, and now, she continues, I think it's teaching us something that doesn't fit in a book. Harry glances at her. What kind of thing? She considers this carefully, the kind you only learn by not interfering. They reach the entrance to the common room. The portrait dozes lightly, waking just enough to admit them before settling back into sleep. Inside, the room glows with low firelight, shadows dancing lazily across the walls. Most of the students have already turned in for the night, leaving the space wrapped in a comfortable hush. Ron stretches and lets out a quiet sigh. I didn't realize how loud everything usually is, he says. Hermione smiles. Neither did I. They choose seats near the fire, not because they need warmth, but because the gentle crackle feels companionable. For a while, none of them speak. They simply sit, allowing the night to finish its work. Harry feels a subtle urge to tell someone, to explain what they've experienced, to name it, and then he lets that urge pass. Some things, he realizes, are diminished by being spoken too quickly. The vault does not need witnesses beyond those who know when to remain silent. Ron leans back in his chair, eyes very half closed. You know what's strange? He murmurs. I don't feel like we've uncovered a secret. Hermione nods. More like we were allowed to pass near one. Harry stares into the fire, watching embers glow and fade. And we chose not to take it with us. That choice feels important. Later, when they finally rise to head to their dormitories, Harry pauses at the base of the stairs. He looks around the common room one last time. The quiet chairs, the low fire, the sense of ease that has settled into the space. Hogwarts feels closer now, not in distance, but in trust. In his dormitory, Harry changes and slips into bed without lingering thought. He doesn't replay the night in his mind. He doesn't search for meaning. He simply allows himself to rest. Across the tower, Hermione places her book carefully on her bedside table, unopened. She turns out her lamp and lies still, letting the calm wrap around her like a familiar spell. Ron falls asleep almost immediately, breathing slow and steady, the castle's quiet rhythm carrying him without effort. Somewhere far below them, deep within stone that has learned the value of being unnoticed, the vault remains as it always has. It does not open because they are gone. It does not close because they have left. It simply is. And the choice they have made to walk away gently, to leave without claiming, to allow mystery to remain whole, has shaped something within them. The night passes on, unremarkable and complete, and Hogwarts, content in its silence, continues to hold its unseen places exactly as they are meant to be held. The realization does not arrive all at once. It unfolds the way dawn does at Hogwarts, slowly, quietly, without fanfare, until suddenly the world feels different, even though nothing obvious has changed. Harry wakes before the first bell, stirred not by sound, but by a sense of calm attentiveness, as though the castle itself has gently nudged him awake. The dormitory is still wrapped in shadow. Ron sleeps soundly nearby, breathing deep and even. Outside the tall window, the sky is pale and waiting, the last stars fading without hurry. Harry lies still for a moment, listening. There is no hum, no whisper, no sign of the vault, and yet he feels its presence more clearly than ever. It is not beneath the castle, he realizes, not behind walls or hidden seams. It is not something to be found again. The vault has shifted, not in place, but in meaning. Later that morning, he finds Hermione seated by one of the high windows in the corridor outside the Great Hall. Breakfast has not yet begun. Sunlight filters softly through the glass, warming the stone floor in quiet patches. "You're up early?" Hermione says without turning. "So are you," Harry replies, sitting beside her. They sit in silence for a while, watching the light move slowly across the castle walls. The moment feels unguarded, as though Hogwarts itself has stepped back to give them space. "I think I understand it now," Hermione says at last. Harry nods. "Me too." She turns to him, her expression thoughtful, calm. The vault isn't hiding something important. It is the importance. Harry smiles faintly, because it doesn't demand anything. Hermione nods, because it exists without needing to be witnessed, without needing proof. Ron joins them a short while later, rubbing his eyes and stifling a yawn. He takes one look at their faces and huffs softly. "You two look like you've been thinking again." "Just noticing," Hermione says gently. Ron leans against the wall, folding his arms. "You know what I reckon," he says after a moment. "That vault isn't some ancient Hogwarts secret everyone's missed. It's Hogwarts reminding itself how to rest." The words land softly, but they fit. Harry feels the truth of them settle into place with a quiet certainty. Hogwarts is a castle built on magic, but also on attention, on footsteps, voices, expectations, needs. For centuries, it has been watched, explored, tested, admired. The vault is what remains when all of that falls away. "It opens," Harry says slowly, "only when the castle feels unobserved, when it doesn't have to perform." Hermione's eyes shine, not with excitement, but recognition, which means it's not meant to be used. Ron smirks faintly. "Figures. Best things never are." The insight deepens as the day moves on, not through discussion, but through experience. In the Great Hall, conversation feels softer. In lessons, pauses stretch naturally without being filled, even the staircases seem less eager to surprise, settling into their shapes with quiet cooperation. Harry notices how often people look at Hogwarts and how rarely they simply exist within it. That afternoon, as he walks alone through a lesser used corridor, the insight reaches its quiet peak. He stops, not because something calls to him, but because he senses the absence again, the same gentle openness that allowed the vault to reveal itself before. The corridor is empty, the walls ordinary, nothing hums. Harry deliberately does not look for anything. He breathes, and in that stillness, the truth becomes whole. The vault is not a place, it is a state of being, a moment when attention loosens, when purpose fades, when magic is allowed to rest rather than respond. Hogwarts opens it for itself, not for students, not for seekers, but as a reminder that even enchanted places need silence to remain whole. Harry smiles quietly to himself. He does not linger. That evening, they three sit once more by the common room fire. Ron pokes at the embers thoughtfully. Hermione watches the flames rise and fall. Harry feels no urge to return to hidden corridors or unseen seams. "We don't need to protect it," Hermione says softly. "No," Harry agrees. "It protects itself by not needing us." Ron grins. Best kind of secret. They let the fire burn low. One by one, students drift away to bed. The common room settles into its nighttime hush, and deep within Hogwarts, beyond walls, beyond vaults, beyond the need to be opened or closed, the castle remembers something essential. That magic does not always need to be witnessed. That silence can be a sanctuary. That what is unseen can still be complete. The insight does not end the mystery. It allows it to remain. And Hogwarts, wiser for the remembering, breathes out slowly, content to hold its quiet heart exactly where it belongs. The understanding arrives not as a thought, but as a feeling that settles into place, like a book returned to the correct shelf, or a door gently closed at the end of the night. It happens quietly, without ceremony, and only when the castle believes itself unwatched. It begins late the following evening. Hogwarts has eased into its nocturnal rhythm once more. Lessons are finished, voices have faded, and the corridors have returned to their familiar hush. Lanterns glow softly along the walls, their light steady and warm, illuminating nothing that needs to be noticed. Harry walks alone, not because he has somewhere to go, but because the castle feels open to wandering again. His steps are unhurried, his thoughts light. He passes staircases that do not move, portraits that remain asleep, and windows that reflect only the slow drift of clouds across the moon. There is no hum tonight, no seam in the wall, no breath beneath the stone, and yet the vault feels closer than it ever has. Harry pauses in a narrow passage he has never paid much attention to before. It is entirely ordinary. Stone walls, a single torch, the faint scent of dust and wax. Nothing about it suggests magic beyond the everyday enchantments woven into the castle. He does not search. He does not wait. He simply stands. And in that stillness, the realization becomes complete. The vault never opened for them. It opened without them. The moment stretches Gently, like a held breath finally released, Harry understands now why the vault resisted attention, why it revealed itself only when unseen. It is not a container, not a keeper of secrets, not even a place in the way rooms are places. It is Hogwarts, allowing itself to be alone. For centuries, the castle has been filled by footsteps, by voices, by curiosity, by need. Even in the quietest hours, it has been watched, expected to respond, expected to hold magic ready at all times. The vault is the opposite of that. It is what remains when no one is asking anything of the castle at all. Harry feels no urge to tell anyone immediately. The understanding feels too gentle for words, too complete to require explanation. Instead, he turns and walks on, letting the corridor slip back into ordinariness behind him. Later, in the common room, Hermione sits by the fire, a book open in her lap, but unread. She looks up as Harry enters, her expression already knowing. "You felt it too," she says softly. He nods and takes a seat across from her. It's not hiding something from us. Hermione closes her book slowly. It's giving something to itself. Ron joins them a moment later, dropping into a chair with a quiet sigh. He listens without interrupting, his gaze fixed on the glowing embers. "You know," he says after a while, "I reckon the vault's the calm Hogwarts goes to when everyone else is asleep." Hermione smiles faintly. Yes, somewhere it doesn't have to explain itself. The fire crackles gently, sending sparks drifting upward. Around them, the common room feels deeper, softer, as though the castle has relaxed now that the truth has been spoken, even so quietly. The insight settles fully when Harry realizes one final thing. The vault does not remain open or closed. It exists. It exists in every moment when Hogwarts is not being used, not being explored, not being tested or admired. It exists in the pause between footsteps, in the silence after doors close, in the spaces where nothing is demanded, and because of that, it cannot be taken away. No spell could destroy it. No map could chart it. No student could uncover it fully. It is protected by indifference, not neglect, but gentle disregard. Hermione rests her hands in her lap, thoughtful. "That's why it trusted us," she says. "We didn't want to claim it." Ron grins sleepily. "Guess we passed by not trying." Harry leans back, feeling the calm spread through him like warmth. He no longer wonders whether the vault will open again. He no longer feels the need to return to hidden corridors or watch walls too closely. The revelation is not an ending. It is permission. Permission for the castle to keep parts of itself private. Permission for magic to rest without purpose. Permission for silence to be enough. As the fire burns lower and the night deepens, Hogwarts settles once more into its ancient rhythm. The towers stand quiet against the sky. The grounds lie still. The stone remembers how to hold peace without needing to be seen. And somewhere beyond rooms and walls, beyond attention itself, the vault remains exactly as it should be. Unseen, unclaimed, complete. Harry rises at last, feeling sleep draw gently near. As he heads toward the stairs, he does not look back. There is nothing left to find, only something quietly understood. The days that follow move forward without any sense of urgency, as though Hogwarts itself has chosen to slow the rhythm of time. Nothing outwardly changes. Classes continue, meals are served, staircases shift when they wish, and yet, beneath it all, a calm has settled, quiet and dependable, like a deep current beneath still water. Harry feels it most clearly in the ordinary moments, walking to breakfast beneath enchanted ceilings, sitting in class while quills scratch softly across parchment, watching the grounds from a high window as clouds drift lazily overhead. The need to notice everything has faded. In its place is a gentle trust that what matters will make itself known, and what does not can be left alone. Hermione carries the calm with her in a quieter way. She still studies, still reads late into the evening, but she no longer fills every pause with effort. When a thought wanders, she allows it. When a book closes unfinished, she leaves it that way. The castle seems to respond warmly to this restraint, offering clarity without demand. Ron, too, changes in ways he doesn't entirely comment on. He laughs more easily, sleeps more deeply. When a day grows long or tiring, he shrugs it off with an ease that feels earned. Hogwarts no longer feels like a place that needs to be kept up with. It feels like somewhere that will wait. They do not speak of the vault again. There is no need. The understanding they reached does not ask to be revisited or reinforced. It rests comfortably in silence, shaping how they move rather than what they say. They pass through corridors without searching walls. They sit beneath windows without listening for hums. They allow the castle to be exactly what it is. One evening, Harry finds himself standing on a quiet balcony overlooking the grounds. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, leaving the sky painted in soft blues and fading gold. The lake reflects the light gently, its surface unbroken. He breathes in slowly. There is no sense of loss in knowing the vault will not reveal itself again, not in the way it did before. If anything, there is comfort. The magic was never meant to be held. It was meant to be left. Behind him, Hogwarts stands calm and complete. The stone does not stir. The air does not shift. And yet, the castle feels fuller than it did before, as though it has reclaimed a quiet part of itself that had long gone unnoticed. Elsewhere, deep within the castle, places remain untouched by attention. Narrow passages no one lingers in, corners where shadows settle naturally, spaces between footsteps where silence rests without interruption. These are not mysteries waiting to be solved. They are sanctuaries. As night settles in once more, lanterns glow softly along the corridors. Students drift toward their dormitories, voices lowering, laughter fading. The castle prepares for rest, unhurried and content. Harry returns to Gryffindor Tower with an ease that surprises him. He does not replay the night of the vault in his mind. He does not wonder what might have been inside. He knows now that some magic exists not to be uncovered, but to allow the world to soften around it. When he finally lies down, the quiet feels welcoming rather than empty. His thoughts slow naturally. The castle's steady presence surrounds him, not watchful, not demanding, simply there. And as sleep begins to take hold, Hogwarts settles into itself, holding its unseen places gently, without expectation. The night passes, nothing opens, nothing closes, and everything is exactly as it should be. As the night deepens, Hogwarts grows still in its own patient way. The towers stand quiet against the sky, their windows dimmed to a soft glow. The corridors rest, untroubled by footsteps, and the stone remembers how to hold silence without strain. In the Gryffindor Tower, the fire has settled into warm embers. The last murmurs of the day have faded, leaving only the gentle hush of sleep beginning its slow work. Harry rests easily now, his breathing calm and even, his thoughts drifting without effort. Hermione's lamp has been turned low, her book closed for the night, its place carefully marked. Ron lies wrapped in deep, uncomplicated rest, the castle's quiet rhythm carrying him onward. Nothing waits to be discovered tonight. The vault does not stir. It does not call. It does not need to. Its presence lingers in the pauses between moments, in the calm that arrives when nothing is expected of you. It lives in the spaces where the world loosens its grip and allows you to simply be. If you are listening now, you are welcome in that same stillness. There is nothing you need to notice, nothing you need to understand, nothing you need to carry forward. Imagine the castle at rest, the lanterns glowing softly, the moonlight touching stone and water alike. Let your breathing slow, let the quiet settle around you like a familiar cloak. Some secrets are not meant to be kept or revealed. They are meant to remain untouched, whole in their silence. And in honoring them, we learn something gentle about ourselves as well. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to leave things unseen. You are allowed to drift. Hogwarts holds its quiet heart safely through the night, and the world feels steady once more. Sleep can come now, softly and without hurry. The castle is calm, the night is kind, and everything is exactly as it should be.